Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Waterloo south of the river to Rotherhithe in South London. This ride takes about 20 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey also takes around 20 minutes, so cycling is a great option for making this trip. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute too, then you can find a link in the description below the video. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on the corner of Waterloo Road and Sandell Street, and we're going to start by picking a quiet route through the back streets of Waterloo. There are plenty of filters and bollards around this area removing through traffic, so if you go this way you'll be able to avoid all the cars on the main road. If you were wondering what the large group of men in suits were doing on Sandell Street, they seem to be queuing outside the Union Jack Club, which is a private members club for current and formerly enlisted members of the armed forces, so I guess they were attending an event there. In a moment we'll find ourselves on the Cut, which was recently filtered by Lambeth Council. It's a much nicer street now, it has much less traffic on it, it's a much nicer place to cycle, and there's plenty of places to sit outside at the various restaurants, cafes and pubs. In a way, it's actually returning to its roots as a street. In the 19th century, it was well known as a busy street market, so its more recent life as a sort of busy car sewer behind Waterloo didn't really fit the history, and I think it's much better now that it's been returned to something like that original purpose. There are three main parts to the rest of this route today. For the next few minutes, we're going to be following Cycleway 14, which is a pretty picturesque signposted backstreet route with very little traffic on it, as you can see, mostly thanks to interventions like bollards, filters and no entries for cars which remove through traffic. There are some nice sights along here, and it goes through what I think is a pretty charming and underrated part of London. Then after that we're going to cycle on Cycleway 4, which is a main road route with a really high quality segregated cycle lane that gets us where we need to go in a very direct way. And for the last part of the video, we're going to pick a route through the historic streets of Rotherhithe, where you can also see some interesting sights which I'll point out when we get to them. If you were paying attention at the beginning of the video, you'll have noticed that this route is nearly a straight line. It's very direct. But if you want to follow along on a map all the same, then remember you can find one linked in the description below the video, and if you want to go out and try the route yourself, you can download it as a GPX file and use it on whatever app or device you like to help you navigate on your own bike if you need help. Though the wayfinding along today's route is pretty good. You can see this green and blue sign on the bollard there, and also C14 written on the ground. That's basically like that the whole way. It's very difficult to forget where you're going if you're following those, and the same on Cycleway 4 as well when we get to the main road. On our left coming up is Guy's Hospital, which is notable for its 34-storey Guy's Tower, which was once the tallest hospital building in the world but is now the 6th tallest. Since it's been here since 1791, the hospital, not that specific tower, it has quite a lot of history to it. Former employees include John Keats, the poet, Ludwig Wittgenstein, the philosopher, and also a whole host of people who have had diseases named after them. So Thomas Hodgkin for Hodgkin's lymphoma, Richard Bright for Bright's disease, Alfred Poland, discoverer of Poland syndrome, and William James West of West syndrome. I'd say that's probably a good sign that they're doing good work there. This part of London has a long-standing association with the leather industry. This grand red brick building on the corner was the London Leather, Hide and Wool Exchange. It still says that above the door, carved into stone. And we're of course now on Leather Market Street. We'll also be heading to Tanner Street in a moment, which is where, unsurprisingly, the tanning of the leather took place. The reason that the industry congregated around here is because tanning leather is extremely smelly and unpleasant, and it was therefore pushed out of the square mile of the City of London proper and over the river here into Southwark. Tanner Street Park on our right here opened in 1929 on lands that was formerly the Bermondsey Workhouse. It's also notable because it has a turret in it from nearby St Olav's Church Tower. That church, which was on nearby Tooley Street, was actually demolished in 1928. So when laying out the park, they saved the turret from the tower, put it in the new park and converted it into a drinking fountain. It is Grade 2 listed and unfortunately, as is common, is no longer a functional drinking fountain. We're currently passing underneath the world's first entirely elevated railway, by the way. That's the London Bridge to Greenwich Railway Viaduct. Do make sure that you give way to pedestrians crossing onto the bus stop back there, by the way, as the cycle track runs behind the waiting area for the bus. Now, one thing you need to be aware of crossing the street here is that while you have a green light to cross the street, cycles travelling on the cycleway we're joining also have a green light. They're not held at a red signal, so you need to wait for a gap to slot in there rather than assuming that they'll stop for you. You might have seen that there's a pretty small waiting area that I used there to let that guy go past. This is a slightly counterintuitive setup because in the UK we tend to be used to a green light, meaning that you can proceed without any conflict, but that isn't the case at that junction. I think it's actually a good way to do it, by the way, because cycleways do have far too many traffic lights on them, often unnecessarily, but you just need to be aware. The other thing to keep in mind when you're travelling down Cycleway 4, or any route like it really, is vehicles coming out of the side roads like that one that might not see you or respect your priority travelling down the main road. This stretch does have some features to mitigate against that. Very open sightlines at junctions and curves in the cycle track as you approach them, and also signalised junctions on some of the busier side roads, to name a few. But just keep an eye out on cars poking their noses out, approaching the junction, or also looking ready to turn into side roads from the main road, because it can be a bit of a hazard if they don't see you or they just decide that they're going to drive into you. I really like Cycleway 4, and I think it's been such a revolutionary change for riding a bike in this part of London since it opened. It currently runs all the way from London Bridge to Greenwich, or even Charlton if you know about the secret connection, which if you watch this channel you will. My understanding is that construction of the extension to Woolwich will also start this year, which is really cool, though it will probably take at least a year to get it built, possibly longer, as it is a significant piece of construction. I know a lot of people liked my end of 2024 video where I previewed all the stuff happening in 2025. Do check that out if you haven't seen it already. I'm planning to do a similar video at the end of this year actually, probably checking in on how all the projects are doing and if there's anything else coming down the pipe next year and beyond. So do hit subscribe if you're interested in seeing that so that it appears on your YouTube homepage. Subscribing is free, by the way. You don't have to sign up to anything. You literally just hit the button and it just lets YouTube know that you like seeing videos from this channel. Now, we've used a crossing to break from Cycleway 4 here for a second to head onto Brunel Road. There's no protected lanes on this very short section, but we're only on it for literally 3 or 4 seconds before we turn into Rupak Street. It's all really low traffic in historic Rotherhithe here, but it would be really nice to have a more direct connection from the cycleway to this area. Even just a dropped curb where those wheelie bins were would probably do it if anyone from Southwark Council is watching and wants a quick and easy project to improve cycle access to this part of the borough. Strangely, we actually pick up Cycleway 14 signs again now that we're in the back streets, so you can follow those if you need some directions. What I love about this part of town is that the historic docklands used to be such a big part of London's identity in previous centuries, but there's really not a huge amount of the city now that retains that kind of maritime working class feel, mostly thanks to a lot of the quite unsentimental development of the 1980s, but Rotherhithe really does, particularly that part we just cycled through, and it's worth a visit for that reason, as well as its pubs and the excellent Brunel Museum, which is a stone's throw away from where we are now. You can either do that by cycling this route or taking the train to Rotherhithe Station, which we just ended the video at. So thank you very much for watching that, guys. I hope you agree that is an excellent route. As you can see on the map, it's really straight and doesn't really have too many wiggles in it. It's just a really direct route. It joins up two excellent routes, C14 and C4, and it runs from a pretty major transport hub as well. So hopefully it will be useful to a lot of people. Let me know in the comments what you think, and also what you think of Rotherhithe as well if you've ever been. And also, please, if you haven't already, please do hit subscribe on the channel so that you are shown new videos I publish. I do them every week. And also hit the like button to help other people find it, as it does boost the videos in YouTube's algorithm. And finally, thank you once again to everyone who supports the channel on the Patreon. And if anyone else is feeling generous and wants to throw some money at me, then you can find a link to the Patreon in the description below the video as well. I'll see some of you in the comments, and I'll see the rest of you next time. Goodbye.